What happens when two women who once shared polite smiles on daytime television are placed back under the same studio lights, years later, with unfinished words hanging in the air like smoke? What happens when the past doesn't stay buried? When the cameras are live, the audience is restless, and silence itself becomes a weapon. Before we go any further, if you love explosive celebrity moments, raw tension, and stories that feel like you're inside the room, subscribe to Stage View right now, hit that like button, and drop a comment so you don't miss what's about to unfold. The studio doesn't know it yet, but it's already holding its breath. Angelina Jolie walks out first. The applause is immediate, loud, almost reverent. There's a familiar electricity when she enters a space, something between admiration and curiosity. She moves with that unmistakable calm, dressed in soft neutrals, posture straight, expression controlled. But if you look closely, if the camera lingers just long enough, there's tension behind her eyes. Not fear, not excitement, readiness. She sits, crosses one leg slowly, hands fold in her lap. The hosts smile. The audience cheers again. Then Joy Behar turns her head. It's subtle, a fraction of a second too slow. But the camera catches it. Joy's smile doesn't reach her eyes. For viewers who remember, this isn't just another interview. This is a reunion that was never supposed to happen. Years ago, there were comments, sharp, dismissive, controversial, spoken on this very show. Opinions framed as humor. Laughter that didn't quite land. Angelina never responded publicly. She never needed to. Silence became her statement. Until now, the opening questions are safe. Humanitarian work. Film projects. Motherhood. Angelina answers with elegance, voice steady, words carefully chosen. The audience nods along. The hosts chime in. Joy listens. She taps her cue cards once. Then again. The energy shifts before a single confrontational word is spoken. Even the clapping dies down faster than usual. Something unspoken passes between the two women when their eyes finally meet. Not hostility. Not warmth. History. Joy clears her throat. So, Angelina, she begins, tone light but pointed, you've always been selective about how you engage with public criticism. Angelina smiles faintly. I believe in choosing what deserves a response. A few audience members murmur. Someone claps once, then stops. Joy leans back in her chair. That's interesting, she says. Because some people feel that when you stay silent, you're avoiding the conversation. The word avoiding lands harder than intended. Angelina doesn't break eye contact. Or, she replies gently, I'm allowing the conversation to reveal more about the speaker than about me. The audience reacts instantly, gasps, whispers, scattered applause. One of the co-hosts shifts in her seat. Another laughs nervously. Joy smiles, but now it's tighter. Well, I've always believed conversation is healthy, especially when public figures influence millions. Angelina tilts her head. I agree, which is why intention matters. There it is. The temperature in the room rises. The director cuts to a wide shot, as if trying to give everyone space. It doesn't help. Joy folds her arms. Years ago, I said something about you on this show. I stand by the right to have an opinion. Angelina exhales slowly. Not annoyed. Centered. I never questioned your right to speak, she says. I questioned whether speaking without understanding is still an opinion, or just noise. The audience erupts. Applause. Shocked laughter. Someone in the front row covers their mouth. Joy's eyebrows lift. Are you calling me uninformed? I'm saying, Angelina responds, voice calm but unyielding, that when you reduce someone's life work to a punchline, you're not critiquing, you're simplifying. Joy leans forward now. You chose a public life. You don't get to control the narrative. Angelina nods once. No, but I do get to live truthfully within it. Silence. Even the studio lights seem louder. One co-host tries to interject. Okay, let's. Joy raises a hand, eyes still locked on Angelina. Do you think you're above criticism? Angelina pauses. For the first time, there's emotion behind the control. Not anger. Something deeper. No, she says. I think I'm human, and humans deserve complexity. The audience stands halfway, unsure whether to clap or stay still. Joy chuckles softly. Complexity is one word for it. Angelina's jaw tightens. Just slightly. Joy, she says, using her name deliberately. You once said you didn't understand why anyone listened to me. Joy nods. I did. And yet, Angelina continues, here I am, sitting across from you, and people are listening. The applause this time is thunderous. Joy doesn't clap. She looks out at the audience, then back at Angelina. You're very composed, she says. But I wonder how much of that is performance. Angelina's eyes soften. Everything you see here, she says quietly, is the result of years of pain, growth, and accountability. If that looks like performance, perhaps it's because strength makes people uncomfortable. The room feels divided now. Half the audience cheering, half frozen. A producer whispers off camera. The hosts exchange glances. This is not the segment they rehearsed. Joy straightens. So what do you want from me? Angelina doesn't hesitate. Nothing, she says. I didn't come here for an apology. I came because avoiding discomfort doesn't lead to understanding. Joy nods slowly. Then let's be uncomfortable. The words hang there, heavy and loaded. The camera zooms in on Angelina's face. For a moment, the calm cracks. Just enough to reveal the weight behind it. Uncomfortable, she repeats, is where truth lives. The audience erupts again, but this time, the energy isn't celebratory. It's electric, divisive, alive. Joy opens her mouth to respond. And that's when the break music starts playing. The red light turns off. But the tension doesn't. Not even close. The music fades, but the silence it leaves behind is louder than anything that came before it. Cameras are technically off, but no one in the studio relaxes. The audience doesn't move. Applause signs stay dark. A few people whisper, then stop, as if afraid sound itself might provoke something irreversible. Angelina remains still in her chair. Her hands are clasped tighter now. Not shaking, controlled. Focused. The calm of someone who has walked through far worse storms than this one, yet understands that this moment matters in a different way. Joy Behar exhales, long and deliberate, as if releasing years of irritation in a single breath. She glances toward the producer's table, then back at Angelina. You know, Joy says, voice lower now, less performative. This wasn't how today was supposed to go. Angelina meets her gaze. It rarely is. A couple of audience members let out nervous laughs. A producer gestures frantically from the side, whispering, 30 seconds, though no one is quite sure to what. One of the co-hosts leans toward Angelina. Do you need water? She asks softly, a lifeline offered mid-storm. Angelina shakes her head. I'm fine. Joy shifts in her seat. Without the cameras rolling, her tone changes, less sharp, more personal. You think I enjoy being painted as the villain every time I speak my mind? Angelina considers this. I think, she says slowly, you enjoy honesty. I just don't think we define it the same way. That lands harder than any insult. Joy scoffs. Honesty isn't always gentle. No, Angelina agrees. But cruelty often disguises itself as honesty. The audience reacts even without microphones, collective inhalations, someone whispering, wow, under their breath. A stagehand steps closer. We're back in 10, he says urgently. Joy nods, but her eyes never leave Angelina. You've built an image, she says. Grace under fire. The world's conscience. You don't think that comes with scrutiny. It comes with responsibility, Angelina replies. Especially when words have consequences. Joy laughs dryly. Consequences? I talk for a living. And people listen, Angelina says. That's the consequence. The red light flickers back on. Live again. The shift is instant. Smiles return, manufactured brittle. The co-hosts straighten their posture. The audience applause sign flashes, and clapping fills the room, slightly offbeat, unsure. Joy turns to the camera. We're back, she says brightly. And clearly, this conversation has struck a nerve. Angelina nods politely, but her eyes tell a different story. She's no longer just responding, she's engaging. Joy continues. Angelina, you've spoken about accountability a lot today. Do you believe media figures should be held accountable for opinions? Angelina answers without hesitation. I believe everyone should be accountable for impact, not just intent. A murmur ripples through the audience. Joy raises an eyebrow. So now opinions have to pass some moral test? They always have, Angelina replies. We just didn't like admitting it. Joy leans forward. What about yours? You've made choices, relationships, activism, that many people criticize. Angelina nods. And they're allowed to. But criticism becomes something else when it strips away humanity. The co-host on Joy's left interjects, trying to soften the exchange. This feels like a bigger conversation about empathy. Angelina turns toward her, grateful for the reframing. Exactly. Empathy doesn't mean agreement. It means effort. Joy smirks. Effort goes both ways. Angelina's voice drops slightly. Then let me ask you something. The studio freezes. Joy hesitates, then shrugs. Go ahead. Angelina looks directly at her. When you spoke about me years ago, when you questioned my motives, my intelligence, my influence, did you ever consider asking me first? The question hangs in the air like a held breath. Joy opens her mouth, closes it, then speaks. That's not how television works. Angelina nods slowly. Then maybe that's the problem. The audience explodes, applause, cheers, some boos. The divide is unmistakable now. Joy's face tightens. You're implying the format is broken. I'm implying, Angelina says, that it's powerful, and power requires care. Joy shakes her head. Care can become censorship. Angelina responds immediately. And disregard can become harm. The co-hosts exchange worried glances. One of them whispers, "We're running long." Joy hears it. She doesn't care. You're very articulate, Joy says, almost begrudgingly. But I still think you live in a bubble. Angelina smiles sadly. I've lived in refugee camps, courtrooms, hospitals, grave sites. If that's a bubble, it's one built from reality. Silence. Joy blinks. The jab she prepared never comes. For the first time, the audience doesn't know how to react. No applause. No gasps. Just stillness. Joy clears her throat. I didn't mean. Angelina raises a hand gently. Not aggressive. Grounded. I know, she says. And that's why I'm here. Joy looks at her, really looks at her now. Not the icon, not the headline, not the subject of commentary, but the woman sitting 3 feet away. So what is it you want people to take from this? Joy asks quieter. Angelina thinks for a moment. That conversations can be challenging without being demeaning. That disagreement doesn't require dismissal. And that listening, real listening, is an act of respect. The audience applauds softly at first, then louder. Joy nods slowly. You're asking a lot. Angelina meets her gaze. So are you. A beat passes. Joy sighs. You know, when I made those comments back then, I didn't expect you to remember them. Angelina's voice is calm but firm. People remember how you make them feel, especially when millions are watching. Joy leans back, folding her arms, not defensively this time, but contemplatively. Fair. The co-host jumps in quickly. This is clearly resonating with everyone. Angelina turns to the audience. Faces stare back at her, some inspired, some conflicted, all engaged. We don't grow by being comfortable, she says. We grow by being honest with ourselves. Joy looks out too, then back at Angelina. I'll give you this, she says. You don't run from the fire. Angelina smiles faintly. I've learned how to stand in it. The applause is sustained now. Genuine. Loud. But beneath it, there's still tension, unresolved, humming. Because while something has shifted, it hasn't settled. Joy adjusts her glasses. We're almost out of time. Angelina nods. I know. Joy hesitates, then says, I don't regret having opinions. But maybe I could have asked better questions. Angelina looks at her, eyes softening. That's all anyone can ask. The cameras begin to pull back. The director signals wrap. But as the applause continues, social media is already igniting. Phones glow in the audience. Clips are being recorded, messages typed, opinions formed in real time. And somewhere behind the scenes, producers know this isn't just a segment. It's a moment, and it's far from over. The applause fades, but the energy doesn't. As the cameras power down, the studio feels smaller, heavier, like the walls themselves are leaning in to listen. Crew members move cautiously now, voices lowered, eyes darting between Angelina Jolie and Joy Behar, as if either woman might reignite the spark with a single word. Angelina rises from her chair slowly. Not in a hurry. Not avoiding anyone. She smooths the fabric of her dress, takes a breath that looks more like a grounding ritual than relief. Joy stands too, but there's hesitation in the movement. She adjusts her jacket, glances toward the exit, then back at Angelina. For a brief moment, they're alone in the center of the set, surrounded by empty chairs and lingering tension. Joy breaks the silence. You surprised me. Angelina meets her halfway, close enough now that the cameras would have caught every nuance if they were still rolling. I didn't come to surprise you, she says. I came to be honest. Joy lets out a short laugh. That's what everyone says before they blow something up. Angelina smiles, just barely. Sometimes things need to break before they change. Around them, co-hosts whisper among themselves. One producer pretends to check a headset, while clearly listening. A stage manager hovers near the edge, unsure whether to intervene. Joy crosses her arms. You know what people will say, right? Angelina nods. They already are. As if summoned by the words, a production assistant rushes over, phone in hand. Trending, she whispers urgently to another crew member. Everywhere. The assistant isn't wrong. Within minutes, clips of the exchange are exploding online. Short videos titled Angelina Shuts Down Joy and Joy Behar Finally Challenged Liv rack up thousands of views by the second. Comment sections fill with fire. Praise, criticism, arguments stretching across continents. Angelina is aware of it. She always is. But she doesn't reach for her phone. Not yet. Joy does. She glances at the screen, scrolling fast, jaw tightening. Well, she mutters, the internet's having a field day. Angelina watches her, not smug, not vindicated, thoughtful. It always does when women disagree publicly, she says. Especially when neither backs down. Joy looks up. You think that's what this was? I think, Angelina replies. This was two people defending different truths. Joy considers that. And you think yours wins? Angelina shakes her head. Truth isn't a competition. Joy snorts softly. That's very on brand. Angelina doesn't rise to it. Instead, she asks quietly, Do you ever get tired, Joy? The question catches her off guard. Tired of what? Performing certainty, Angelina says. Even when you're not sure. Joy's mouth opens, then closes. She looks away toward the darkened audience seats, now empty but still echoing with presence. Certainty keeps the show moving, she says finally. Angelina nods. So does vulnerability. We just don't reward it as much. A long pause settles between them. A co-host approaches carefully. They're asking if you're okay to do press, she says to Angelina. Angelina nods once. Of course. Joy raises an eyebrow. You don't waste time. Angelina smiles. Silence creates its own narrative. Across the studio, reporters are already gathering. Microphones. Cameras. Questions loaded and waiting. The first reporter steps forward as Angelina reaches the press area. Angelina, did you come on the show expecting confrontation? Angelina doesn't flinch. I came expecting conversation. Another voice cuts in. Do you think Joy owes you an apology? Angelina pauses, choosing her words carefully. I think conversations like this matter more than apologies. Behind her, Joy watches from a distance, arms folded again, but not defensively. Thoughtfully, a producer leans into Joy. Do you want to respond to the backlash now or wait? Joy sighs. Backlash, she repeats. That was fast. It always is, the producer says. Joy looks back at Angelina, who's answering questions with measured grace, never once attacking, never once retreating. The contrast is impossible to ignore. Joy exhales. I'll talk. She steps into the press circle. Cameras swing toward her instantly. Joy, a reporter asks, do you regret how the conversation unfolded? Joy looks straight into the lens. For once, there's no joke ready. No deflection. I regret, she says slowly, that conversations like this are so rare we don't know how to sit with them. The answer surprises everyone, including Joy herself. Online, reactions intensify. Some praise Angelina for her composure, calling her unshakable, class incarnate, a masterclass in restraint. Others defend Joy, arguing that debate is the point of television, that discomfort shouldn't be mistaken for wrongdoing. Hashtags trend. Think pieces are drafted before the show even finishes airing on the West Coast. Back in the studio, the energy has shifted again, less combative, more reflective. Angelina finishes her press and steps aside. Joy approaches her once more, slower this time. Joy says, I didn't expect to feel challenged. Angelina meets her eyes. That's not a bad thing. Joy chuckles. I've built a career on challenging others. Angelina responds softly. Then perhaps today was a mirror. Joy considers that. Then she nods. Maybe. A producer calls out, 5 minutes, everyone. Angelina gathers her things. Joy does the same. For a moment, it seems like this is where they part. No resolution, just distance. But Joy stops. Angelina, she says. Angelina turns. Joy hesitates, then speaks. I still don't agree with everything you stand for. Angelina smiles gently. I wouldn't expect you to. But, Joy continues, I respect how you stood for it. Angelina inclines her head. Thank you. It's not an apology, but it's something. As Angelina walks toward the exit, her phone finally buzzes. She glances at it once. A flood of notifications. Messages from friends. From colleagues. From people who watched and felt seen. She slips the phone back into her bag without responding. Outside, the city hums. News vans idle. Fans gather behind barricades. The story is already bigger than the room it began in. And somewhere inside that studio, Joy Behar sits alone for a moment longer than usual, staring at her reflection in a dark monitor. Because when the noise fades, when the applause dies, what remains is the question neither of them can escape. The aftermath doesn't wait for permission. By the time the sun sets, the moment has already been dissected, reframed, memed, praised, condemned, and immortalized. Television monitors across newsrooms replay the exchange on loop. Social feeds pulse with split screens of Angelina Jolie's steady gaze and Joy Behar's sharpened smile, frozen in the exact seconds when tension became history. The audience reaction is immediate and polarizing. Some stand outside the studio, phones raised, telling live viewers they felt the shift in the room. Others argue in rapid-fire threads about free speech, power, and accountability. Clips rack up millions of views. Not overnight. In hours. One headline reads, Angelina Jolie turns daytime TV into a moral reckoning. Another counters, Joy Behar does what talk shows are meant to do challenge. There is no consensus. Only conversation. Inside the studio, the seats are empty now, but the echoes remain. Crew members replay the footage, stopping at key moments. The pause before Angelina's hardest line, the flicker of uncertainty in Joy's eyes, the silence that spoke louder than applause. A veteran producer shakes his head. That wasn't TV, he says quietly. That was something else. Angelina is already gone. In her car, moving through city traffic, she finally scrolls. Not obsessively. Selectively. She reads a message from a humanitarian worker thanking her for naming empathy on such a massive platform. Another from a young woman who writes, I've never seen someone stay calm and still be powerful. Angelina closes the app. She knows moments like this don't belong to one person. They belong to whoever needs them. Joy Behar, meanwhile, sits at home, the glow of her television reflecting in her glasses. She watches the segment replayed for the third time. Not to critique, to understand. Her phone buzzes constantly, friends, critics, colleagues. Some supportive, some furious, some disappointed. For the first time in years, Joy doesn't respond right away. She rewinds. She watches Angelina's face again. The restraint, the resolve, the refusal to turn the moment into a fight. Joy exhales. Later that night, she tweets. Not defensively, not humorously, just honestly. Tough conversations matter, even when they're uncomfortable. Especially then. The internet reacts instantly. Some call it growth. Others call it damage control. But even her harshest critics pause long enough to argue about it, which in itself proves the point. Days pass. Talk shows reference the moment. Podcasts debate it. College classrooms discuss it. Commentators slow down their usual pace, searching for language that doesn't flatten what happened into sides. And then something unexpected occurs. People start listening differently. Not everyone. Not everywhere. But enough. Angelina doesn't follow the discourse closely. She's back to work, back to the parts of her life that don't exist on screens. But she feels it, in meetings, in interviews, in the way questions are asked with slightly more care. Joy returns to her chair the following week. The audience applauds longer than usual. Not louder. Longer. She sits, looks into the camera. She says, last week sparked a lot of conversation. And that's okay, because television shouldn't just entertain, it should challenge us to think. She pauses. And sometimes, she adds, to listen. There's no mention of names. No rehashing. No defensiveness. Just space. The audience claps. Thoughtfully. Online, comments continue to pour in under the original clip. Now one of the most watched segments of the year. Viewers argue. Viewers reflect. Viewers share their own stories of being talked over, mislabeled, underestimated. The moment has outgrown the studio. It belongs to the audience now. And that's where you come in. What did you see in that exchange? Strength? Ego? Growth? Resistance? Two truths colliding, or a long overdue reckoning? Drop your opinion in the comments. I want to hear how you interpreted that moment. If you felt the tension, the emotion, the raw honesty of this story, Subscribe to Stage View for more explosive, cinematic deep dives into the moments that shake pop culture. Like the video, share it with someone who loves real, unfiltered conversations, and stay with us, because the next story is already unfolding. On Stage View, we don't just watch the moment. We step inside it,